Carter's seat is up for grabs in the 2026 midterm elections, and it's time voters have the opportunity to choose a representative who stands for the Constitution. Over the next 10 weeks, our Candidate Voices series will introduce you to the candidates running to represent Georgia's 1st Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives. Buddy Carter has held this seat since 2014, and we believe it's time for a change. 5051 Savannah will be interviewing all candidates for this House seat who align with our mission, upholding the Constitution and rejecting authoritarianism. We won't interview candidates whose views are fundamentally incompatible with our mission. If new candidates enter the race and share our values, we'll gladly add them to the series. Our goal is to help voters make an informed choice ahead of the May 19th primary. Each candidate will be asked the same question with responses limited to 5 minutes. We'll release one question per week, and all interviews will be available on our social media, YouTube channel, and website. Look for the series once a week. We're glad you're joining us. I'm Robin Montgomery, and I'm here today with Randy Zurcher. Randy, what motivated you to run for this seat at this moment in time? And what do you think is at stake if we don't get it right?
Well, Robin, thanks so much for giving me this opportunity to talk to you guys. What really motivated me to run for this office is a couple of years ago, my wife Mercedes and I, we just started paying attention to what Buddy Carter was or wasn't doing for his constituents. We didn't feel like we were really represented. And we started doing a little research, and Chatham County is a pretty good sized county, and it's fairly democratic. And yet this district we found has been drawn in a gerrymandered way. So we go up to Rankin, and then all the way down to Brunswick, and then all the way over to Waycross. And there's just a lot of Republican voters that are south of us. And what it really does is it means we don't have a representative. And it feels like we haven't for years. So we started really calling Buddy's office a lot and just requesting a town hall meeting. And he wouldn't do it. He just wouldn't do an in-person town hall meeting. And at this point, it's been 8 years. So a friend of mine called me one day or texted me or something and said, hey, these people are going to be doing a protest against Buddy Carter at his office today. And I said, great, I'm there. And that was in February. And we've been going every Wednesday since then, just to let Buddy know that we want representation. We don't want to be ignored. And especially now that Trump is back in there, we don't want just another rubber stamp for his policies. And so I heard a lot of people, kind of fretting that nobody was here to run for this office. And I do have a little bit of experience. I was on a city council in Arkansas a couple of times way back, 20 years ago. And I just started thinking about it, and I thought, you know what, somebody needs to do this. And so I jumped into it, and I really wanted to run against Buddy because so many people are so not happy with Buddy. But he's running for the Senate now. But we know that any Republican that gets put in there that's MAGA endorsed is going to be just another rubber stamp for this tyrant. So that's why. And if we get into what is at stake, there's a whole lot at stake right now. If Donald Trump goes unchecked, we can expect more erosion of our due process rights. Right now, they feel like it's okay to ignore the courts, even when they have picked somebody up that hasn't even committed a crime, somebody that was here legally, maybe on a green card. We can expect a whole lot more of that. I feel like we can expect more mass surveillance, more militarization. I feel like we can expect more suppression of free speech. You've seen the way he's been manipulating people with these court cases and things like that. If we let ICE go on like they've been doing, we're going to have a lot more mass deportations, more private prisons where people are treated like animals, which is really unconstitutional. And with those mass deportations also comes labor shortages and higher prices that come with it. So that part of that's part of what's at stake. The other part, if this big, beautiful, terrible bill that passed is allowed to really kick in a year or two, um, the cuts to our earned benefits will at some point take effect. The cuts to Medicaid alone will shut down rural hospitals. I think 7 within 2 hours of here in Georgia. Over 2 million people in this state will lose access to health care. Rural hospitals will close. 40% of the funding for our hospitals that we use here and in Brunswick, 40% of their funding comes from Medicare reimbursements. So that would, we would lose that also. 70% of nursing home patients could be just kicked out because of those cuts. We could expect if these SNAP food stamp benefit cuts kick in, somewhere around 400,000 children will go hungry, and then we deal with all the health things that come with hungry kids. And then we also have VA cuts. We can expect more veterans going without health care, and we made a solemn promise to those people, and we need to keep it. So there's a lot at stake. It feels like there is a small group of billionaires who want to be oligarchs, and they want to rule over the rest of us. We pay taxes, they cut our benefits, and then they don't have to pay their taxes.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to cut you
I'm not
off
okay
there,
with that.
Randy. Sorry,
Okay,
I'm going to
thank
cut you
you.
off. That's your 5 minutes. I'm sure you could keep going for a long time.